with a 13-yard touchdown. Defensively, nice job, Carolina. 20-14 now over the Seattle Seahawks. Chiefs at the Broncos. Patrick Mahomes left his smoke. Look left, broke down the pocket. Look like I'm going out of bounds. Stiff arm. Look, there it is. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Michael, you could do that. 56-yard touchdown. Jared McKinley, that's the man. Look at that. That is our football. That is exactly right. Chiefs up 13-0 in the first half of quarter. Back comes Denver. There's an all-out blitz. You got a delayed screen off to Marlon Mack, and then Mack does a great job of breaking tackle. Kick there, say hello. There you go. Touchdown. Here comes Denver. 3 touchdown passes by Russell Wilson as Kansas City has a 6-point lead. 27-21.
Earlier today, Philadelphia became the first team to finish a playoff fourth. Dallas came back to beat Houston. Detroit has now won 5 of 6, while Buffalo has won 4 straight, and Cincinnati has won 5 in a row. Baltimore squeaked past Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville has won Tennessee for its third consecutive loss. Look here at the NFC playoff picture, and not much has changed so far the way the games have played out today. While in the NFC, it's been a little bit of a shift. Seattle and Washington are now in the 6th and 7th spot with the Giants falling out. Right now, though, Howie, it is all about the Purdy show in San Fran.
Yeah, how would Brock Purdy play with the Phillies in practice in his first start? I think it's a really good Tampa Bay aggressive defense. Puts the brakes on here. Has the poise to keep his eyes downfield. Here, Miller, the blitz is coming. He's going to take a big hit. Captain makes a great catch in the end zone. So far, so good for Brock Purdy.
I mean, incredible accuracy on the throw. And he played for the right one. His guys catch him. I think the biggest thing we talked about in the pregame show was how he's handling the pressure going against the go. Looks like it has not affected the job.
He looks very poised in this game. Meanwhile, it's been a frustrating first half for Tom Brady and his Bucs. You heard Kevin Sayre set up the third time of this year. That won't make him happy, even though this is our last play of the half.
The Verizon halftime is brought to you by Verizon, the network you deserve, the savings you want.
With another sports-filled weekend coming to a close, the NFL rolls on. We're going to pick up this Buccaneer 49er game at halftime as they'll kick off this third quarter momentarily. 28-0 your score. Wow, just wow. Somebody's going to have to call up Nash Bridges and figure where the hell at Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay offense is. Penalties have hurt them at times, but overall their defense giving up 28 points, 3 total touchdowns to Mr. Irrelevant, first time NFL starting quarterback from Ames, Iowa, former Cyclone, now Niner, Brock Purdy, putting on a show. So, 28-0 is your halftime score. I wasn't expecting this. I don't think anybody was, for that matter. But we'll see if Tampa can, come back, make some noise. Brady and the Bucs coming off of Monday night, come from behind win last week, down deep in the fourth quarter and scored 2 touchdowns and won it as time expired, as they'll show off highlights on the halftime show. We'll pull up some stats and scores here in a minute, but man, 28-0. Brock Purdy and the 49ers, as Jimmy G last week was injured and seemingly for the most part the rest of the year going to be out with a broken foot. Could return late in the playoffs if they get there, which, up until he got hurt, thought San Francisco was going to be that one team to watch out for. And, depending on how they play here today and moving forward, potentially, but, doubtful. But now Brock Purdy is putting on a show. It's only a half of football, so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, no doubt about it. But San Fran could still, of course, be a force to be reckoned with. Come full circle. Take a step back real quick. 2019, they went the whole way to the Super Bowl and lost. Kansas City, Super Bowl 54 champs. COVID hits 2020 season. They're battled by a ton of injuries. They win a few games, miss out on the playoffs. People were calling for Kyle Shanahan's head. Last year, they make the playoffs, go to Green Bay and win on a game-winning field goal, and then end up losing to the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams, who they have beat single-handedly pretty well in the regular season the past few years, I might add, too. But then when it mattered, the Rams with the win. So 49ers have lost to two of the last three Super Bowl champs. And now I get 2 years removed from Tampa winning the Super Bowl in 55 as well, in Brady's first year in Tampa as a Buck. But then even with Trey Lance, who they drafted in the first round, injured early this season, out for the year. Jimmy G, who seemingly wasn't going to be there, everyone thought, this year. Gets them to, for the most part, where they're at right now, because he didn't even start week one. It was Trey Lance, and then Garoppolo comes in, back up to Brady in New England, I might add. And then now Garoppolo goes down. They're 8-4, and the 49ers are up 28-0 at halftime against the Bucs, who honestly they can, but they can't afford to lose. They're 6-6. NFC South, worst division in football. Honestly, whoever wins that division might have a losing record come playoff time. Just, looking ahead. San Francisco, come full circle, though, okay? With all that being said, they're 8-4. They're up 28-0 on Brady and the Bucs with a first time ever starting rookie quarterback in Brock Purdy, who officially at halftime is 14 of 18 for a $185, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown, and they also have another rushing touchdown. But with all those injuries, now the injuries are starting to add up again. So they're continuing to fight through adversity, as they've been fighting through adversity the past few years, long story short with all that. Deebo Samuel was injured in this first half. Didn't look good. Don't want to speculate by any means, but left knee injury, didn't look good. He might also now be done for the season, I'd have to think, or at least for a good portion of time, and might also be in that range, if it's possible, if there's nothing torn, to potentially return come playoff time. But later in the playoffs, similar to where Garoppolo is at right now with a broken foot. But it's still next man up mentality, and they're keeping it simple for him offensively with the play calling. They have a running game with Christian McCaffrey, who they traded from Carolina. The trade deadline, McCaffrey officially 13 for 81 on the ground, and then 2 catches, 34 yards receiving, and a receiving touchdown. So they're clicking on all cylinders. Robbie Gould, one of the best kickers in the game, 4 and extra points. Very well could have had a few field goal attempts if they didn't score touchdowns. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, just, yeah, a wow of the first half. Like, are we seriously witnessing what we're witnessing? Like, the Bucs really aren't that good this year. They're not. They're 6-6, 500. Brady, it does seem at times like Father Time's, caught up to him. In the third and final year of his 3-year deal that he had signed. with the Bucs when he had left New England. And report this morning, of course, but he's playing back home in the Bay Area where he grew up as a 49er fan for only the second time in his 23-year career. That who knows what the future holds. Is he going to retire again? Is he going to come back? And if he comes back, who's he going to be playing for? There's a report last week that he might go back to New England, might be staying in Tampa. People have been, of course, saying he could go to San Francisco. I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen? We kick off in the second half, though, in a return from the goal line. And Tampa out past midfield, 1st and 10. So short field, as they cut it in half there on the return, going to try to cut this lead. And the thing is with Brady, regardless if he's playing in New England, now in Tampa in his 3rd year, even going back to his college days at Michigan, you can't count him out. 6th-round pick at 199, going up against Mr. Irrelevant from this past year in Brock Purdy, who is getting his first start for the injured Jimmy G, former Brady back up in New England, and Brady's down 28-0. So what are they going to do? They're going to run the ball. They stick to their game plan, run the football. They honestly haven't been able to catch a break today. Like I said, penalties have hurt them on offense. They had a deep ball for 6. Mike Evans was wide open, and then a holding brought him back. Had to punt. Brady passed over the middle, incomplete. For Cameron Brate. You know, they really don't have a running game. Whether it be Leonard Fournette or Rashard White, they really don't have a running game. And Brady's 9-19 for 78 yards passing. So, big 3rd and 5 here. I mean, this game, for the most part, is already over. Halfway, at least, technically, yes. But even long-term, it's already over. I mean, coming back from down 28-0, you know, pretty damn tough. Brady throws the pick at the 25-yard line. And a return out past midfield and inside the 40. So, with that being said, yeah, this game just keep going the wrong way for the Bucs. In this game, a minute into the 3rd quarter is still, for the most part, over with. Turnovers now. Big killer. Pump fake, stepped up, and then just overthrew his target, Mike Evans. And they haven't been able to get to connect at all, hardly today. Other than that deep ball for a touchdown, but then the holding, you know, brought it back. Unless they'd have, you know, a couple points there. Now Brady's holding his right hand. Hopefully he ain't hurt. That'd be a suck-ass way for him to end the game, let alone the season, if it was serious. But let's see what the 49ers do here. Brock Purdy in the pistol. They audible. And he's looking to throw. I mean, you have a 28-0 lead. Run the damn ball. That pass is batted down, incomplete. But no, with as I was saying about San Francisco potentially still being, you know, one of the teams to watch out for. I mean, they could be. I mean, I'd buy into them a little bit, but I still wouldn't be buying into them as much as, you know, I was, you know, for that team to watch out for with Garoppolo quarterback, and, you know, now Debo's hurt, and I mean, they still have McCaffrey and Kittle, and, you know, Juszczyk at times getting touches. McCaffrey hits the hole, and a 40-plus yard rushing touchdown a minute into the second half, and they extend their lead, and now it's 34-0. You got to be kidding me, man. Brady might as well say, fuck it, Blaine Gabbert, get your ass in there. You're playing the rest of the way. You still can't count his ass out, you know, because 28-0, now 35-0. Remember, he was down 28-3 in the fucking Super Bowl and came back and won the damn thing, okay? And down numerous times already this year, and they've come back and won. But 35-0, even with a half of football to be played, that's going to be tough, especially when they can't, do a damn thing now as it is. It's a little bit of everything. Special teams. They kicked a 55-yarder earlier. Missed it. Brady's homecoming hasn't gone the way. Of course, he'd like it to. Go right now have gone. But even offensively, them not being able to connect, sync up, move the ball, score points. Their defense is giving them 35 fucking points, for God's sakes. So, start there. And whatever it is, whether it's Todd Bowles, going back to him being the Jets head coach and, sucking it up for a couple years, getting fired and then, working his way back up as a coordinator again under Bruce Arians, and then he retires and, he gets the job. They're 6-6. I mean, you still have Tom Brady, for God's sakes. Belichick and the Patriots are also right there at that mark, so, I mean, they've both made the playoffs since, they've parted ways, but now they're at another crossroads, and it's like, I think that's why people were thinking, well, maybe you think about it, especially when a report comes out, whether it's true to an extent or not. I'm sure it's just hogwash to get people talking, with how both teams are playing right now, to get them to reunite and, run it back, if you will. Which I wouldn't be shocked that happened, but that's a ways off from now. They got to worry about getting out of a 35-0 hole, let alone winning their division, let alone making the playoffs. And if they don't, which they don't win the division, they ain't making the playoffs. But then if they make the playoffs, to win in the playoffs, because, I mean, they can go from a wild card in his first year to 3 road games and a Super Bowl win at home to being bounced in the playoffs last year in the divisional round. And then also, if they make it, lose again this year, maybe even a round earlier in the wild card, for all we know. But still got another month of football this regular season before the playoffs begin. That's what I said, with Tampa now returning it from a 5, down another 7 more points than they were just a minute 3 ago. It was 28-0 halftime. Now it's 35-0 because he threw the pick. And then a couple plays later, they scored. McCaffrey now has over 100 yards rushing. That is a must-win game, but at the same point in time, it's not. They can honestly afford to lose it, but then, depending on what happens in the NFC West, head-to-head win might backfire on them then because they lost it, and go from there. Or anybody else that they would have either won or lost to, dump off of Fournette on the screen for about 4 yards, be 2nd and 6 and 25. But, yeah, this is just, like, seriously, what in the hell is going on? Just nobody in San Francisco can tell you the same damn thing, even them included. Let alone Tampa, because you don't want to play like this for sure, no doubt about that. Nobody in their right mind, wildest dreams, saw this coming. It's 35-0. It's not 35-32. Or 35-28 in a one-score game, or something like that. It's 35-0. They have nothing, 0 to show for it, okay? So, I mean, they're trying to keep it simple still. Work the sticks, move the ball, not turn it over, which they did on their opening drive of this second half. Julio Jones on the reception out past the 40, first and 10 Tampa. But man, just I don't think honestly it's as bad as they're playing as it is. Brock Purdy and the 49ers are playing damn good, but at the same point in time it is, because I mean, your defense is giving up 35 fucking points. Big hit over the middle. Godwin getting sandwiched. Incomplete, second and 10. There's a flag now. Debo, rather than a knee injury, has an ankle injury, they say. Ankle injury on his left leg. So, 2 fouls. They gonna offset? Or no foul. They picked it up. Second and 10 from the 44. No flag. Brady looking to throw. Wanting to go deep and then gets sacked, but he gets rid of it. Cade Otton to midfield. It'll be third down and 4, maybe 5. But yeah, their offense ain't looking good. Defense giving up as many points as they have, and maybe some more when it's all said and done. But I mean, yeah, you got to give it up to Brock Purdy. Like I said, putting on a show. Looking like he's been in the league for as long as Brady's been in the league. Yet he ain't even as old as Brady's time in the NFL. Okay? They're keeping it simple, though, for him. So you got to give credit. Brady going to go deep far side, incomplete. Of course, Kyle Shanahan. And then McCaffrey, because of the run game. They have a running game for him. Tampa doesn't have a running game for Brady. But then another former Michigan quarterback, I might add. I'm surprised they haven't brought this up. I literally just thought about it, thinking about it. Former Monday Night Football analyst and Brian Greasy, who's San Francisco's quarterback coach, who played at Michigan with Tom Brady, I might add. And then, of course, couldn't cut it as good as his dad did with the 72 Dolphins. But gets into broadcasting, now into coaching. And, I mean, like I said, Brock Purdy, as Brady 3rd and 5 going to step up and run, he'll go down and they'll have to kick another long field goal here, let alone go for it. I mean, you're fucking down 35-0. He's 14 and 19, $185 and 2 touchdowns officially. 2 touchdowns passing, and then they have 3 rushing touchdowns as a team, with himself included in that. Yeah, they go for it here. 4th and 4 from the 38, 10-15 and counting to play in the third. Complete first down. Big question is, I wonder how many people have already turned this game off. So I just want to say thank you for tuning in and listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. So under 10 now to play in this third quarter. 35-0 San Francisco. Tom Brady in the gun. Going to go far side, and it's going to be picked off again. Oh, my God. He'll be helped up by his offensive line, and that should do it. They convert, all right, on 4th down. I'm going to play later. Completely underthrew it. Defender tipped it to himself and picked him off. So Brady, back-to-back drives now this second half. 5 minutes in, just throwing interceptions. You can tell he looks tired. But he's pissed off, though, too. But what can he do? The defense is giving up 35 points, but now what's he done? Not much. Some people after this are going to say for him to hang it up. I can already hear it. that he should have just retired and, fucked up his personal life, so on and so forth. You think he cares? No. And I still think he's coming back next year. He's not going to want to go out like this in a big blowout loss, let alone, they don't make the playoffs. He's not going to be going anywhere in sport football. Fox has already signed him, to a broadcasting deal for a decade and a ton of money. Every dog has his day. They're just getting their ass kicked, plain and simple. There's no other way around it. And San Francisco, even with a third-string quarterback, they still look unstoppable. And they're going to get to 9-4. Tampa going to fall below 500 before they go to a divisional game next week, and then they play at Arizona on Christmas night. So, man, I'm trying to think. I don't know who else San Francisco would have at quarterback now at this point. Yeah, you want to get Purdy as many reps and as much experience as you possibly can, especially this time of year. But then to make a run to the playoffs, unless Jimmy G is coming back, which who knows if he would or not, to come down to the situation, well, yeah, you want to keep winning, you want to try to win your division, get a home game in the playoffs, because the Eagles in the NFC, they're going to be your number one overall seed, it looks like, and have a bye. So everybody else can be playing the wild card weekend. They're the first team at now 12-1 to clinch a playoff berth here today with their win at the Giants earlier. But we'll recap what happened in the NFL today. Oh shit! They're going to take us to Panthers Seahawks? Are you fucking kidding me? 20-17 for Carolina and Seattle. They're moving us away from America's game of the week with Tom Brady. I get it's 35-0, but it's fucking Tom Brady. But once again, every dog has its day. And well, if they're benching him, along with, well, we've seen enough, like, just put us out of our fucking misery. Yeah, put on a better game. I understand it. So I guess, yeah, we'll be watching the finish of the Panthers and Seahawks. They got about 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. So back from this break, they'll take us to that game. I'll have to switch change the title of this live watch-along reaction stream later. I'll edit that. But in the meantime, of course, thanks for tuning in and listening. As always, I'm your host, Encyclopedia Sports, Goy and Luke 96. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. Man, 35-0. We'll just have to see how bad the final score is going to be. Which, long story short, with them taking us to this game, they could probably take us back to this game once that game wraps up, unless they'd go to overtime or something like that. And then I get to get an early eye on, as a Steelers fan myself, the Panthers, because Pittsburgh plays them next week. Haven't seen Seattle since the Germany game that they lost to the Bucs last month. So there's only 3 games on right now. I guess that'd be a good transition to see what's already happened today and ongoing. And we can recap last week as well, along with the preview what's to come next week. If we get to it, if we don't, talk about that now tomorrow night. We'll be on for Monday Night Football and Monday Night Raw, so be sure to tune back in. Yeah, 35-0. They're taking another damn timeout. Are they even going to take us to this game or what? Like, you say you're going to, and then you take us on a loop-de-loop, beat around the bush, 10-minute commercial break. come back. Oh, here's another commercial break for you. Even though a minute and a half of the game has gone by, there was like about 2 minutes to play now, under a minute to play. So maybe they'll just take us to the game at the start of the fourth quarter for all we know. But yeah, right now it's 35-0 49ers on top of the Buccaneers. They're going to take us to Carolina and Seattle, which I might add is an NFC Championship game rematch from the 05 season. 20-17 Panthers. And then the Chiefs and Broncos, which got flexed out of Sunday Night Football this week. We'll see Dolphins Chargers in about an hour and a half or so from now. Monday Night Football tomorrow night. Patriots and Cardinals. Kansas City's up right now 34-21 on Denver. Mahomes out there looking like a robot, throwing passing touchdowns. But earlier today, 3-1 score games after a 1-point win for the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Talk about that in a minute. Yeah, I guess we were due for a blowout weekend. 35-0. 48-22 earlier for the Eagles, defeating the Giants. 2-score wins for Cincinnati, the Lions, and the Jaguars. Oh my for those Bengals, Lions, and Jags, but Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and the Washington Redskins football team, now Commanders, all on byes this week, I might add. Are they finally going to take us to this fucking game or what? About to, for the third and final time. Another 14 seconds has gone by. We missed about 2 plays. 34 seconds to play in the third. They're going to show off some highlights before they take us there. So it'll be the fourth quarter by the time we get there. So Sam Darnold threw a passing touchdown after they were up 3-0. All right, 10-0 for Carolina. And then 20-17. They don't show off any Seahawk highlights for whatever fucking reason, even though they scored 17 points. They're going to show off some more scores for the games that are ongoing right now, as mentioned. Yeah, 34-21 Chiefs on top of the Broncos. And yeah, 35-0 for the 49ers on top of the Bucs. 35-0. Brady's getting beat. Other than the Super Bowl against the Falcons in 51, 28-3, has Brady ever been blown out like this throughout his whole entire NFL career? 35-0 midway through the third quarter, and they take us to a different game because of it? Talk about bad. It just got worse. But they do take us to this game finally. Panthers, Seahawks. So, an early lead into bonus coverage. They literally switched the game on us. If only CBS had a game on right now, too, for the doubleheader. Because these two games are on Fox. CBS has the Chief Bronco game, but that's local regionally. And then we got to wait for Sunday and Monday Night Football. But I'm sure Carolina's liking what's going on in San Fran. Even with a win at Seattle today, and then both, as they'll play next week, beat the Seahawks if this final score will stand, or if any more scoring would happen and they still win, so on and so forth from there. Get my point. The Panthers would still be a game behind the Bucs. 5-8 to 6-7. And then Falcons and Saints on byes this week, so yeah, Tampa with a loss really can only afford one more loss, just like a few other teams. whether that was entering today or even moving forward now, can only afford one more loss to either, however you want to put it, have a winning or a losing record. But then Brady and the Bucks, I mean, honestly, it looks like whoever's going to win the NFC South is going to have a losing record at this point, unless they win out after today. Let alone only lose once more. There's officially 4 more games after today. And I believe these are the final bye weeks of the year as well, if I'm mistaken. Week 14. So 15, 16, 17, and then week 18 with that 17th game. We've got another month of football left in the regular season before the playoffs begin. But yeah, they take us away from Bucks 49ers with how bad it was. That's a false start. No flag. They let it slide. Pass through the middle, caught first down, but that should do it for the third quarter. So, yeah, I guess we'll get to see an interesting finish here in the fourth with Carolina and Seattle. The Panthers up on the Seahawks 20-17. And as mentioned, an early lead into potential bonus coverage, but just switching to a better game, long story short, with how bad the other one is. And they very rarely do this unless it is a blowout. But, yeah. 35-0 as they near the end of the third quarter now for the 49ers on top of the Buccaneers. And then 34-21 Chiefs. Looks like they'll win, bearing any unforeseen comeback. Potential one-score game when it's all said and done, though, again for the Broncos. We'll see. Got a 3-point game right now, so one score as well. Panthers, Seahawks at the end of the third, 20-17. Seattle's in the mix as a wild card. You'd think they'd want to be winning this game to, stay with San Fran with their big blowout on Tampa, getting a 9-4 and then 8-5. They'd still be a game back, but guess what? They play each other on Thursday. So, get an early look at both those teams. The problem is for 49ers, Brock Purdy's going to have to go on the road for the first time. And can he do, what he did first half today, early third quarter as well, on the road against the 12th man and the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see come Thursday night. That's why they play the game. And then, as mentioned, yeah, they're just getting hit by the injury bug again, as they did a couple years ago. But if they keep it simple for him offensively, run the ball, he checks down to Kittle at tight end, even without Deebo Samuel, who has a reported ankle injury. They still have receivers for him to get the ball to. So it doesn't seem like it ain't going to matter much. But like I said, I still wouldn't be taking as big of a chance or a risk that I would have liked to have had, as I've been saying, as mentioned once again, with San Francisco being that team to watch out for. Because it's still only, half a football today with him at quarterback. Like, it might just be a one-time thing. Now, if it turns into, every week occurrence, that's a different story. And then, continue to watch out for him, but then maybe they get beat. Just like Tampa here on any given day, any given Sunday, for that matter. Every dog has its day, but see what it gives. Of course, if I play a game inside on paper, inside on field, so yeah, 35-0 49ers. Chiefs 34-21 leading the Broncos, and then fourth quarter here, 20-17, the Panthers on top of the Seattle Seahawks. And thank you for tuning in and listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. Let's recap Week 13 real quick before we get into what's already happened officially today. So this is from December 1st on Week 13 last week, right after Thanksgiving. up until now, and then we'll preview next week as well. Look at the standings. Of course, this is all included with, I might add real quick, the conference championships last week in college football having been played, and then the college football playoff being revealed last Sunday with Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State to play one another on New Year's Eve. Winners to play in the national championship game on January the 9th. Yesterday in college football, Army beat Navy in the first ever overtime game in series history throughout the 123 all-time meetings. In double overtime, 20-17, and then Caleb Williams last night, quarterback from Southern Cal, USC, won the Heisman Memorial Trophy. However, last week in the NFL, we had the Bills defeat the Patriots 24-10. And then last Sunday, as everybody other than the Cardinals, who host the Bucs in 2 weeks on Christmas night, and these Carolina Panthers played last week. And the Steelers beat the Falcons 19-16. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers still own the Chicago Bears 28-19. The Lions are now 6-7 after a couple straight wins. Of course, they lost to the Bills on Thanksgiving in a game they arguably could have won. But in back-to-back weeks now, they've beat the Jaguars, and they just beat the Vikings today as well, who Minnesota last week beat the Jets 27-22. But the Lions, 40-14 winner of the Jags. The Jags then beat the Titans, handing them their third straight loss. Of course, after Tennessee beat Green Bay on Thursday night, it seems like it's all gone downhill since then. But yeah, last week, Lions 40-14 winner of the Jags. Vikings beat the Jets 27-22 as well. We had the Eagles, who are arguably the best team in the NFL. 35-10 win over the Titans, and then another blowout win against the Giants earlier today. 48-22, I believe was their final score, if I'm not mistaken. Do that in a minute. Ravens beat the Broncos with a late touchdown, 10-9. Sean Watson returned. Browns win against his former team, the Houston Texans, 27-14. The Seahawks went to LA and beat the Rams, 27-23. 49ers look unstoppable day, as they did last week, in a total of, for the most part, 9 times now this year. Going to get 9-4. They beat the Dolphins last Sunday, 33-17. Had the Bengals beat the Chiefs again for the third time in 2022. First time, though, this season. Beat them twice in January, at the end of last year, at the end of the regular season, and then the playoffs. 27-24, another one-score game there. Raiders 27-20, defeating the Chargers, and then the Cowboys last Sunday night put up 50+ on the Colts after a dominant second half, 54-19 your final score, as Indy cut it to a couple, but then it was all Dallas from there. And then Cowboys had the Texans at home today, squeaked one out, came back and won that. So big win, and then sluggish, but they win again. But also last week we had a tie game, which we had saw with Washington and New York. They'll actually play on Sunday Night Football now next week. They flexed out New England and the silver and black Raiders. So Washington and New York tied at 20 last week in the second tie of the year. And also, same exact score, 20 apiece, I might add. It's a little odd from week 1 to week 13, but that was last week. Along with, on Monday night, of course, we saw the Saints and Bucks, and then you just can't count out Tom Brady. But then today, well, you can because they're getting blown out, and Fox takes us to a different game because of it. But last week, yeah, they see, that's the thing with CBS. Like, the Broncos just scored again. It's 34-28. And they flexed this game out of Sunday Night Football. Like, what if this game's on Sunday night tonight still? Are we getting it as it is, score-wise? I don't know. Probably not. But, we get the Dolphins and Chargers now, which on paper, yeah, is a better game. But they've flexed out and moved some games this year that they probably shouldn't have. But that's their mistake because, they make the schedule. Buccaneers do score, might add. For anybody wondering. As they did a couple times late in the fourth quarter last week, and Brady and the Bucs came back and won it at home on Monday Night Football against the Saints. 17. Who was that touchdown to? Tom Brady. Passing touchdown to Russell Gage for 8 yards. And the extra point's up and good. So 35-7 now. 2:48 to play in the third. Take us back to that game while you're at it. Now, well, they probably will. It'll be bonus coverage to the switch over to this because this game with 11:48 to play is going to get done before that gets over. No, but yeah, the Bucs won last Monday night 17-16. And then we also had the same final score on Thursday night this past week, kicking off Week 14, in which former Panther quarterback Baker Mayfield, for this game, I might add, was going to be inactive. They weren't going to dress his ass. Former number 1 overall pick to Cleveland, traded to Carolina this past offseason, late in the summer. And, of course, Matt Rule gets fired. Congrats to him as he's the new Nebraska head coach. Talked about that recently. Wish him the best. But, Carolina with Steve Wilkes, former Cardinal head coach, as the interim. And then from this quarterback to that quarterback to just a, quarterback carousel in Carolina. And, a top pick next year, it looks like, do they finally draft somebody after all this time, or do they stick with who they have, or maybe sign or trade for somebody else, for all we know? Honestly, at this point, who cares? But they do break off a big first down run there. But with that being said, the Panthers waived Baker Mayfield on Monday. The Rams picked up on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, he didn't start on Thursday Night Football for the Rams, but he came in on the second drive. Threw for over 200 yards, but the 98-yard game-winning touchdown drive that he had, as they needed a touchdown to win it, which they got with about 10 seconds left, going the distance in a minute and a half with no timeouts on 2 days notice, basically 2 days rest, with a new team playing backyard football, if you will. Just, hey, I'm going to throw it to you here, be there. Baker Mayfield might have just saved his career. Whether that's going to be staying in LA as a backup, potential starter in due time, if Stafford, can't get healthy, or if he does get healthy and gets hurt again and retires, or Baker Mayfield, I think he's going to have a job, whether that's a starter or backup, until he wants to be done playing football. After that game-winning 98-yard touchdown drive the other night on Thursday Night Football. Because who does that on fucking 2 days' notice? At any level, especially the NFL, for God's sakes. Like, that was ridiculous. As is, Tampa getting blown out by the 49ers. 49ers are a good team, but Tampa 35-0. Not 35-7, just absolutely pathetic. Like, at this point, you're not even going to want to watch the tape. You'll move on. And yeah, the Bucks and the Panthers play next week, I do believe. And remember, Tampa had trouble with Carolina. I believe it was right after Matt Rule was fired, if I'm not mistaken. As they show off some highlights from this game. Yeah, Tampa moving forward. Oh, no, they got the Bengals next week. My bad. So, still cat, but they have the 49ers right now, and they got 2 cats and 2 bird teams to play. Bengals, Cardinals, Panthers, Falcons. Which, shit, they might be 2 games below 500 on Christmas, 6-8. They lose the Bengals next week. Have to win out to get a winning record. No, but with Thursday Night Football, yeah, the Rams beat the Raiders 17-16. The Raiders, man, Josh McDaniels, I tried to tell everybody beforehand, this ain't a good hire. He sucked in Denver as head coach. And, he was just good in New England as the coordinator, because guess who he had as his fucking quarterback? And Tom Brady. Exactly. And another head coaching opportunity after he turned down the Colts and spurred them. No, it ain't working out again, man. But, they forced John Gruden out because Dan Snyder leaked the emails reportedly. And don't officially promote Rich Bisaccia, who was the interim last year. He's now in Green Bay as the special teams coordinator, and the Panthers score in the meantime with under 7 to play, so they'll go up 2 scores here. Seattle can get the ball back down 10, but the Raiders lose to Jeff Saturday and the Colts a week after he gets called off the fucking street as an analyst for ESPN. And okay, since they beat them, though, they've lost a couple in a row. And like he said, hey, if I'm not good at it, I'm out. I'm done. Which, I'm still not going to be surprised if Jim Irsay promotes Jeff Saturday full-time head coach for next year. But at this point, they might hire somebody else. Who knows how that coaching carousel is going to go in college football and the NFL, for that matter, with the openings that are open right now. Because some stuff has been filled. But yeah, and then, lose to Baker Mayfield and the Rams 2 days to prep for a new team and a new game. It's not like, he played the Raiders already this year. Like, he just went out and balled out. So, yeah, 17-16 was your final score there on Thursday Night Football. And as mentioned, I think, honestly, Baker Mayfield might have saved his career. Not his job this year as a quarterback in the NFL. His overall career. I think he's going to be, somewhere in the future, or whether that's, this team or that team. It sure is only going to be Cleveland or Carolina. I can guarantee you that. Maybe it's LA with the Rams. I forget who it was. I saw somebody say maybe the Raiders, team that they just beat. Because there's some connection with Josh McDaniels somehow, some way. But, and I've said, before, the report that, the Davis family doesn't have fucking money to fire Josh McDaniels and then hire somebody else. That's what bullshit. You're an NFL franchise, for God's sakes. Like, you have money on end. Like that's total bullshit. They could still give him another year, just depending on how they finish at this point. But Baker, I think, honestly, if he's not backing up Stafford in LA, somewhere is going to be open, yes. Indy feels like that team, okay, they're going through quarterbacks left and right year after year now at this point. His name came up for there before. It wouldn't be a bad fit, I don't think, be inside. but it all depends on who they're going to hire. The thing is with Baker Mayfield, it's his attitude. He has that cockiness to him, and then he doesn't, walk the walk. He can talk, but on the field, okay, they made playoffs once in his time in Cleveland. So, but, fresh start. I wish him well. I don't really like him that much. But, I mean, for what he did Thursday night, that was pretty damn impressive. And the plan was I was going to do the Bill Patriot game on Thursday night 2 weeks ago, and the Thursday night game this past week as well with the Raiders and Rams, but then I decided against both because just looking ahead of the schedule for streaming, I'll get the Bills in the playoffs for sure. I've already had them a couple times as well. But then the Patriots tomorrow on Monday Night Football, and then Raiders, Steelers Christmas Eve night, and then the Rams are in Green Bay next Monday night. So it works out. I didn't want to top it off too much. I try to keep it as balanced as I possibly can with watching this game, watching that game, and then also streaming, even though I'm not streaming, I'm probably watching the game anyway. Yeah, the Colts seem like potentially like a destination for Baker Mayfield long term. I mean, if you honestly go around the league, in the AFC, other than the Colts, maybe the Texans if you'd want to go back to Texas, where you grew up and played high school ball. And then, of course, Texas Tech to Oklahoma, Heisman #1 pick to where he was this year and now where he's at now. They give us an update of the Tampa touchdown that they took us away from the game to this game, and there's the Brady passing touchdown. It's still 35-7, 12 minutes to play. Yeah, they'll give that to us, or give it back to us as bonus coverage after the switch. Once this game gets over, I'd have to think, because, well, this game seemingly is over now, too, because the Panthers just picked off the Seahawks, 6.5 to play, 27-17 your score. But yeah, AFC-wise, like, it'd be... See, I don't get why people don't like Derek Carr. I'd want Derek Carr as fuck quarterback. They just... Raiders, man... I don't even know where to start. But the Colts would probably be the best team for him in the AFC. But Matt Ryan's there. But is he going to be there next year? Because was Carson Wentz going to be there only 1 year? No, he signed a contract for as long as he did, but then, they trade him. That's the thing with contracts. They're just like streaks, at times meant to be broken. And then in the NFC, think about it. I mean, Washington would be interesting. We still have Wentz, but see, I'd also want, Taylor Heineke has that moxie about him. I'd be wanting him as a, quarterback on my team too. The Giants would be interesting, depending on what they do with Daniel Jones. They've lost a couple straight now, because remember, they haven't picked up his fifth-year option. And then Saquon should be coming back, I think, after his bounce-back year this year. So, blue and white to blue and white. Yeah, Colts, Giants. Who would have thought Baker would be playing years later? Same team both Manning brothers played for at a time or two. Ball came out, fumble. Fighting over it. We'll see if they call, but just trying to think where else. Well, it's all going to depend on what happens with Brady. Tampa could be an option. Whether that's, to take over for him if he retire or go play elsewhere next year, let alone back him up. I think it's all going to depend on, honestly, what happens first off in free agency, but then in the draft. Like I was thinking about it, like Baker could go unsigned until like right before camp next year, to be honest with you. Because there's going to be teams that are going to need some quarterbacks come draft time for sure. Now, quarterback class, you'll have a couple, but day one starters, and then day one starters who can go out and, win you consistently. Some games here and there, I don't know. So they said fumble, but then a clear recovery, so. Carolina keeps it in the first down, but I think the Saints could be a possibility for him. So I'm looking at, and a couple are indoor teams, and that has nothing to do with it. He's never really played inside. He's always played outside, but maybe that'll, now he's in LA with the Rams and they're in indoor team. It'll help him out some way. Of course you're going to play half the games inside. See, I'd say, and there's a report earlier today too that Jared Goff's coming back to Detroit too, but who knows about that? But they've won a couple in a row. They're better than the Packers are right now. Record-wise, at least they are. They beat them, though, because they turned the ball over just like a team earlier today did a little too much inside the fucking 20-yard line. Don't get me started. I already talked about that earlier. But, Baker. I think Indy, Houston, the New York Football Giants, maybe the Saints. If he doesn't stay in LA, okay. Or if he does stay in LA, the Rams, for sure. They'd like to have him as a backup. Green Bay has Jordan Love if Rodgers retires or they trade him. Be interesting to see what happens in Arizona. I think Cliff Kingsbury is getting fired. I don't think he'd go back up former teammate Kyler Murray, though, but you never know. See, that's what another thing, coaching carousel. Like, Carolina's open because they fired Matt Rule, and then Indy's open because they fired Frank Reich. They show off the playoff standings. We'll get to that in a minute. Who else is going to get fired is the question. Kevin Stefanski potentially in Cleveland, depending on how they finish. Vrabel ain't going anywhere. He is not leaving the Titans. Because now he's going to have, after they fire the GM, complete control for the time being. Name floating around for college gigs. It's like, most notably Ohio State. It's like Ohio State still has Ryan Day. Now, if he'd leave for the NFL, Wisconsin would be the team to get fucked because they'd want Luke Fickell. But, no, Vrabel ain't leaving. He's one of the best NFL coaches out there. Talk about a player's coach. And they're only saying that because he was an assistant under Urban at Ohio State for a couple years. And then he was an assistant under Bill O'Brien in Houston and then got the Titan job. Denver's for sure open up. Packett's going to get canned. Raiders potentially. I think Staley's getting fired with the Chargers. I've been saying, recently. Saints could open up too, potentially. I think they'll give Dennis Allen another year, though. You never know, though. But Todd Bowles, I mean, that's what I said, too. Like, he doesn't have Brady. They're nothing. They have Brady, and they still suck. And he sucked as the coach with the Jets, so... Yeah. And then Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona with the Cardinals. But for Green Bay, circle back to them, for Matt LaFleur to take the blame for all this, I wouldn't be surprised he'd be the big shock that potentially they'd fire him. Look at some standings. AFC, Buffalo at 10-3. Going to await Miami, who plays tonight. They'll play next Saturday night in upstate Western New York and Orchard Park as well. Have live watch along reactions live on YouTube with that game, so be sure to tune back in. Patriots play tomorrow. They need to win to keep with the Jets, who they already swept. But then for both teams, it'll be 7-6. But playoff picture, though, even as a wild card, potentially both teams, yeah, even if they would make the playoffs, they'd be done. And then the North, you got 2 9-4 teams and 2 5-8 teams. So that'll work itself out. And the 2 9-4 teams in Baltimore and Cincinnati seemingly will both make the playoffs. If the 2 5-8 teams, especially the one, take care of business still, get a lot of help now at this point, can't lose anymore, going to win out, maybe, but I highly doubt it. The Jags are coming for the Titans. There's a 2-game difference now. I didn't think I'd be saying that, but that's true. There's a 2-game difference, 7-6 to 5-8, and Tennessee has lost 3 straight. I mean, there could be a good 5-game difference if they would have, won 3 straight, or another 3 or 4 game difference, and they would have at least won one of the last 3 games. But no, they've lost 3 straight. The Texans and the Bears are the 2 teams who have officially already been eliminated from the playoffs. Eagles are the first team to clinch a playoff berth today. They're 12-1, arguably the best team in the league, no doubt about it. Because Minnesota's lost now a couple games they probably shouldn't have. San Francisco with injuries and playing good today and so on and so forth, and still think it could be a team watch out for. But I was high on them. I'm still high on them. I'm just not as high on them as I was. So roll that up, but. And like I said before, until the Cowboys don't shit the bed in the playoffs and until they win the Super Bowl for the first time, and it's been already 25 years, I can't go that way. I mean, you honestly look at the NFC. Don't want to forget about the AFC West either, but it's really just the Chiefs. Chargers are still there, but we all know how they play late in the year too. So, I mean, your AFC playoff picture, it's Buffalo, it's Kansas City, it's we'll say Baltimore and Cincinnati on top of Miami right now. All 3 8-4 entering day. Dolphins still have to play though tonight in about an hour. The others are 9-4 now. So, and then the Fins, and then the Titans, the Jets, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Jaguars, the Browns, Raiders, Colts. Broncos with a loss should be eliminated, I think, right? See if that game's gone final here in a minute. But that's your AFC playoff picture for the most part. best division of football. Even though the Giants have lost a couple in a row, Washington on a bye after the tie against them last week. They'll play next week on Sunday Football. It's still the NFC East. I mean, they have 2 teams with 10-plus wins. The North and the East and the AFC aren't far behind, but Philly's arguably, no doubt about it, the best team in the league. 12-1. One loss was at home on Monday night last month against Washington. And remember, Philly and Dallas still going to play one more time. They played on a Sunday night when Dak was still out. Cooper Rush and a quarterback. Eagles win. They play on Christmas Eve. The lone 4 o'clock game on Christmas Eve is Eagles-Cowboys from the Lone Star State on Fox. And then Christmas Eve night, I'll have live watch along reactions of Raiders-Steelers, so be sure to tune back in. Yeah, your NFC playoff pictures, Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers. And I get, okay, you'll have your division winners, and then your 3 wild cards, but that's what, yeah, no particular order. It's Eagles, Cowboys. I mean, really, it's best record. I mean, the Vikings are there, but starting to slow down a little bit. Hell, even the 49ers are playing good with a third-string quarterback. So I'd put the Niners on top of the Vikings, even though I said a couple weeks ago I thought Minnesota's the best team in the league. I've been still saying, hey, watch out for the 49ers and them injuries and so on and so forth. But you got the Eagles, the Vikings. The Bucs, even with a loss, are still going to be atop the NFC South at 6-7. Because Atlanta and New Orleans are on byes. The Panthers will get the 5-8, but there's still a 1-game difference there. And then they'll play each other on New Year's. Thought it was next week, but it's New Year's. But Bucs do play another cat team next week, and it's the Bengals. And then the 49ers, can't forget about, of course, the Seahawks, let alone Washington, New York, hell, even Detroit and Green Bay. We'll see who's in and who's out a month from now. But a little insight on that. This game's over with Seahawks and Panthers. Carolina just kicked another field goal, 30-17, under 2 to play. Seattle needs 2 touchdowns to win it. The Chiefs officially beat the Broncos, 34-28, your final score. So the last 2 games that are on right now is this Panther-Seahawks game that they took us to because of the blowout earlier, but then they should take us right back and give us bonus coverage of Bucs 49ers. Still 35-7, so San Francisco has not done shit since the first minute of the third quarter when they capitalized off of the first of 2 Brady interceptions to begin the second half. And then Tampa ended up scoring finally. Could have had a field goal, could have scored a couple more times. I mean, yeah, it's a blowout. The game's a hell of a lot closer, though, you think about it, than the score does show. I mean, not saying a one-score game by any means, but, I mean, Tampa probably at least has half of what San Fran has. If not, maybe a couple more points. And probably at least a 2-score game with 7 minutes to play, but then that's even more intriguing than 7 minutes to play in a 4-score game. Because he can't count his ass out. So, yeah, Seattle going to lose a game, and they should be winning here. But Carolina ain't that bad. They're not. Just slow start, fire coach, play for him, I guess, if you want to put it that way, or just play to stay alive in the fucking division, because that'd be something. This Tampa loss today comes back and bites them. And that's why they don't get in the playoffs for whatever reason, because then the Panthers are... It looks like it'd have to be the Panthers compared to the Falcons, let alone the Saints, to knock them out. But whoever's winning the South is going to finish with a losing record, potentially. Which, I don't think that's been done since... I know Seattle did it the one year with the Rams, both teams had maybe 6, 7 wins, and they made the fucking playoffs because the NFC West was so bad. And that was like the final game of the regular season, 256 at the time. And it's when the Rams were still in St. Louis. There might have been a, team since then that has gotten into a losing record, but that's from what I can recall. Of course, now it's 272 for that extra week. But 30 seconds. They have no timeouts. They're down 2 scores. Might get off a couple more plays here. Might score, but Panthers are going to win. There's a flag on the play. And it's caught. And then he walks in, touchdown. So they'll decline the penalty. Hey, onside kick coming. Recover it, heave it deep, maybe have a Hail Mary for the win. Touchdown Seahawks. So now they're down 6 if this extra point's up and good. Let alone 7 if it ain't. It's 30-23. And then they need to kick an onside kick, and then they recover it. It gets interesting. Of course, if they don't, the Panthers will win it. And then, 49ers still up 35-7 on the Bucs. They have the ball under 5 to play, but they should still take us back to that game for bonus coverage. You'd have to think. We'll see. Might just say, fuck it. No, you saw the beat down enough. You don't need to see any more, even though nothing's happened since we took you away from the game. But with Sunday Monday football still to come, with the Dolphins and Chargers and Patriots and Cardinals, once again with the Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and the Washington Redskins football team, now Commanders, all in buys this week. This game's coming down to onside kick. And then the 49ers are going to beat the Bucs. The Chiefs just beat the Broncos 34-28. But earlier today in the NFL, finally, we get to this point after taking as many detours as we always do. The Bills beat the Jets. They split the regular season series 20-12. That Dolphin-Bill game next Saturday night is going to be damn good and potentially for the division. Also earlier today, we had the Bengals beat the Browns 23-10. So Deshaun Watson, 1-1 as the Browns starting quarterback, has yet to play at home though. But did in fact throw his first Brown passing touchdown earlier, but not enough. They lose 23-10. And then also in the AFC North, the Ravens beat the Steelers 16-14 because Pittsburgh had 3 turnovers and a blocked field goal all inside the red zone. And they lose by 2. Seahawks with an onside kick, but the Panthers call timeout to ice them. Make sure they're set. So, yeah, like I said, the AFC North, both Baltimore and Cincinnati are both 9-4, and both Cleveland and Pittsburgh are 5-8 with 4 games to play. Also earlier today, we saw the Eagles beat the Giants 48-22, officially final score. Cowboys came back, sluggish start after a big win last Sunday night against the Colts. Beat the Texans today 27-23. And then 2 upsets. The Lions beat the Vikings 34-23, and the Jaguars beat the Titans 36-22. And here's the onside kick. Near side, it's got to go 10 yards. It almost did, but then the Panthers, in the meantime, recover, so the game's over. 30-24 going to be your final score. Panthers beat the Seahawks. Now take us back to Bucs 49ers for bonus coverage with 3.5 to play, even though it's still 35-7. Yeah, they're going to go far side with the kick as they did before the timeout, and then they kick it near side. And yeah, Carolina, I mean, it's a live ball for the defense. You just jump on it so they don't recover. Because offensively for the kicking team, has to go 10 yards before you touch it. It doesn't have to go 10 yards before you touch it on defense. But they still recover anyway, and the Panthers beat the Seahawks 30-24. There we go. So take us back to Bucs 49ers. Holy shit. The Panthers went on the road for the first time since mid-November last year before Thanksgiving, a 9-game road losing streak. That was when the fucking Steelers and Lions tied last year. For God's sake. Like, give me a break. They're 5-8. They're still a game back of Tampa in the South, because Tampa's going to lose here. They might take us to Tampa, San Fran. They might not. They probably won't. They'll be at the 2-minute warning here. I mean, what's the point? Even though we, already saw it, 2.5, almost 3 full quarters before they switched it. Of course, started this at halftime when it was 28-0. Can't count out Tom Brady. Started at halftime because, well, we watched Ravens Steelers at 1. Didn't get done until that game kicked off, and then, about an hour and a half later, about an hour and a half ago now, at 6, started that off at halftime, and that was a big disappointment how that game wrapped up. But like I said earlier, I don't think it shows. It definitely shows how good San Francisco still is with third-string quarterback. But it doesn't show how bad Tampa is offensively, even though they only scored 7 points. That defense, that's pretty tough. Giving up 35 points to a third-string quarterback. So, yeah. They'll both probably still be in it, playoffs, unless Carolina would win the division. Wouldn't that be something? They fire Matt Rule. He gets hired at Nebraska, and then the Panthers go win the damn division, and then, I'm not saying make noise in the playoffs, but, just make the playoffs. Who would have thought? They're still a game back of the Bucs, though. So take us another commercial break. We'll stay on until we get a official confirmation if they're going to take us to Bucs 49ers here or not. Because we saw it, and then they switched it because of how bad it was. We'll see if they give it back to us or not. But everything's now final, other than that game. 49ers are going to win, though, so they'll be winners today, just like the Chiefs and Panthers also in the 4 o'clock window. All 3 winners scoring 30-plus in those games, even though the other 2, minus Bucs 49ers, are 1-score games, so you can add those to the 2-3, make it 4 or 5 1-score games here today. It's another good week of football, even though, like I said earlier, it did seem like, with how the games were going, we were due, I guess, for a couple blowouts. But 49ers win, Chiefs win, Panthers win, as did the Bills, Bengals, Cowboys, Lions, Jaguars, Eagles, and Ravens earlier, just like the Rams beat the Raiders on Thursday night. And then Sunday night, in about an hour or so, Dolphins, Chargers, and Monday night, tomorrow night, Patriots, Cardinals. I'll have that game over on YouTube then with WWE Monday Night Raw, so be sure to tune back in. But in the meantime, just thank you for tuning in and listening. Today, we're going to wait a couple more minutes to see if they take us to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara in the Bay Area for the Bucs 49ers finish or not. Doesn't look like it, but you never know. We'll see. Like I said, wait until we have official confirmation, but then we'll sign off, and then I'll see everybody tomorrow night. Of course, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Just tune back in tomorrow, and then more live streams this coming week. And next week, just be sure to subscribe. Notification bell next to it, so stay up to date. Like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and right here on YouTube. Have a college football bowl preview this week as well, as bowl games will begin next weekend, so keep an eye out for that as well. But yeah, more content in the days, weeks, and months to come as we'll enter 2023 here in a couple weeks. We're officially 2 weeks away from Christmas. So hopefully everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Yeah, they're just going to take us back to the studio with the OT. And they're going to show off a ton of highlights that we've already seen. Even though that other game still has a minute to go. But, yeah. But that'll do it. I'm going to sign off. I'll see everybody on tomorrow night for Monday Football. And then my bowl preview is either going to be audio recorded as I have in the past and then uploaded as a video, or it might be a live stream. I haven't decided yet. But that's either, honestly, Tuesday, let alone Friday before the games begin. Because then, talked about earlier, seeing both the 49ers and Seahawks today with these two games, and then the switch. They play each other Thursday night. Oh, that's what we got to do. We got to preview next week still. Knew I was forgetting something. But I'll have that game on Thursday night, and then some wrestling on Wednesday for Winter is Coming in All Elite Wrestling. So, official 49ers win it 35-7, your final score. So Brady loses by 28 against his hometown team that he grew up idolizing. So still 2 games this week. 14. Sunday Night Football, Dolphins, Chargers. And Monday Night Football tomorrow night, Patriots, Cardinals. Next week now, week 15 in the NFL, we'll have the 49ers and the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. We'll see how Brock Purdy and the 49ers fare on the road against Seattle, who's coming off a loss here to Carolina. And then the NFL will have a triple header on Saturday, all on NFL Network. Colts, Vikings at 1 o'clock. Ravens, Browns at 4:30. And then I'll have live watch long reactions over on YouTube as well. Saturday night with Dolphins and Bills. So, yeah, College Bowl preview will get up sometime this week. Just don't know officially when. As, yeah, Tuesday and Friday this week will be the lone 2 days that I won't be streaming. As we inch closer to the holiday season. Next Sunday, the NFL will have a full slate minus those 3 games that are on. Monday Night Football next week. Sorry for the technical difficulty with the buffer disconnect and recap. Obviously, it wants me to be done for the night and get off of YouTube, but yeah, we got Monday Football next week. And then one more Monday night game in the calendar year before the final Monday Night Football game of the season on January the 2nd after the Rose Bowl with Penn State and Utah. We'll see the Bengals and Bills, I do believe, is that game, if I'm not mistaken. Plan was going to watch that with Monday Night Raw that night, but Penn State and the Rose Bowl, we'll have that earlier in the day, that Monday at 5 o'clock. So now next Sunday, the 18th, before we get into Week 16, which the NFL will have a Thursday night game that day as well, which we'll preview 2 weeks from now, next week. But then all the games are going to be on Christmas Eve, the 24th, that Saturday, minus the 3 that they have on Christmas, which I know are, in fact, as I'll have Raiders Steelers Christmas Eve night live right here on YouTube. Tune back in. It'll be Packers Dolphins along with the Broncos, and they already played the Chargers on the road. They go to the Rams as well. And then also Christmas Eve night, or Christmas night, it'll be the Bucs and Cardinals, which I'll have live watch along reactions of that game as well. Should be tuning back in. And then Monday Night Football, and then they get into the final Thursday night game, and then the next to last weekend into the new year on New Year's, and then final regular season weekend, they'll have a couple games that Saturday. I believe 2, maybe 3. And then the playoffs begin literally like a month from now. On January the 12th. As today is December the 11th. So actually, technically, yeah, a month from, or January 14th, a month from Wednesday. As the final regular season week, going to be the 7th and 8th. And then the College Football Playoff National Championship games, January the 9th. So with all that being said, yeah, next week in the NFL, Thursday Night Football is 49ers Seahawks. Colts Vikings on Saturday, along with Ravens Browns, and then Dolphins Bills Saturday night. Next Sunday, I'll have Steelers Panthers at 1 o'clock. We're going to see if we can pinpoint what Fox game is going to be on at 1. It'll probably be Eagles Bears, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's most definitely going to be Eagles Bears. So yeah, next week, Steelers, Panthers, Eagles, Bears. We got the Falcons and Saints, Lions, Jets, Cowboys, Jaguars, Chiefs, Texans, Cardinals, Broncos, Patriots, Raiders. Won't be snowing though inside in Vegas. Titans, Chargers, Bengals, Bucks, Giants, Skins, the football team in Landover, Maryland, the Washington Commanders, and then Rams, Packers now is a 10 times better game on paper and potentially on the field with Baker Mayfield and Aaron Rodgers again. So, of course, they played on Christmas last year with the Browns and Packers. But that's last week, this week, and what's to come next week. And like I said, we're a month away from the playoffs beginning. And then a month from then, actually technically 2 months from tomorrow, Super Bowl 57 from the desert. As we'll have the AFC take on the NFC and the 2 champions for the Lombardi Trophy. So we'll leave it at that. But just always, of course, thanks for tuning in and listening. I'm your host, Encyclopedia Sports, Cool and Luke 96 signing off. So thanks for tuning in and listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description below. And then I'll see everybody when I see you tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, next Sunday, next Monday. Get into Christmas, get into New Year's. Keep an eye out for more videos. Go check out recent videos. Just be sure to subscribe. Easiest way to stay up to date is, in fact, on social media. Like, follow, and subscribe. Links in the description below.